Over to Manchester City, Erling Haaland has signed a unbelievable new contract until 2034, which feels like forever from now. Well, what have you made of that?
You're right. It was a bit of a shock to see 9.5 years and also the terms of the contract. Now, when I really started to think about this, it isn't a case of spreading out payments over that period of time because, let's face it, 825,000 a week or whatever the number is that they're saying is a big number, and even spreading it over that period is going to be there. Now, what I think they're really looking at here is if you're going to look, say, a 9.5 year contract, are you going to get 5 to 6 years of Haaland in his prime? And what would that cost and what's it worth? And I think that's what they're looking at right now. And I think they're also hoping that if football inflation goes forward, and who knows what the landscape is going to look like in football in 2030, then would there be other clubs that may have the ability to buy Haaland when he's only got 3.5 years left on that contract? So I think they're looking at capitalising on the next 5 or 6 years of his contract, really getting the very best out of him at his peak, and then I think they may review it in sort of year 6 and decide whether it's time to move on or not. They've certainly taken him off the market, that's for sure. And look, if you've got a great player like this, then taking him off the market in the near term is the most important thing. So it's as much a short-term view as it is a long-term 9.5 year view. It's actually really looking to the next 4 or 5 years.
And what do you make of all these Man City signings and rumors? Obviously, they've got 3 new players coming in, all young teenage center backs, this big Holland deal. Does this kind of signify to you that maybe there's a transfer ban coming from the 115 charges case and they're, kind of stocking up for what may be 2 years, 3 years, 2 windows, 3 windows? You know how these things go.
Yeah, I was talking to a Man City fan the other day who was absolutely saying that exactly, that this proves we're never going to get the charges or get any relegation or points deductions, etc. I disagree. I think, look, Man City have got to stay strong. They've got to carry on doing what they do, and it's business as normal. We all know there's a risk there still. They still maintain their innocence, and fair enough. We'll see what the result says soon, but still, they've got to maintain business as usual. They've got to expect a good outcome, and so they'll find ways to handle this. I think they would be able to handle the economic shock of a relegation if that was to be the case. So look, there are very few owners as well placed as the Abu Dhabi group in order to handle and absorb that sort of shock. But I think yes, it's Man City as much as anything else saying, look, what have we got to worry about? We're going to carry on business as usual.
And the panel is set to make a final ruling on the APT case at the end of this month. When could we hear the outcome? And are you surprised that we even haven't closed this case? It feels like we had a real ruling maybe 3-4 months ago.
Well, there's so many bits of evidence, so many charges, so many things to go into, so many witnesses. There's a lot to take in. Before, when we've discussed judgments that have come down, I think there's been 60 pages, 80 pages, even up to 100 pages. This one's going to be very big, and it's going to take a long time to wade through it. So I'm not surprised it's taken this long. I think it's going to be nearer to Easter before we actually get some sort of judgment. I think there may well be some real thought from both sides put into this, and certainly the panel are going to have to take a long deliberation, because if they are coming down on the side of guilt, it's going to have massive shockwaves in the game. And if it's innocence, again, they've got to protect themselves from all the other clubs who are going to be rather angry about it. So it's going to take a long time, and I'd rather they took the time now and got it right, rather than try in any way to try and rush this and not get it right. I don't know how they work legally, but it's almost as though if you could ask some friends to come and mark your homework, it would be handy. But I don't think they can really do that with confidentiality, but it would be nice to make sure that we've got this right and it's proven and tested.